Nerds and geeks back at it again. It is the legendary Nerd-O-Roundtable. I know. Plenty of you were looking for us this weekend and were hitting us up in the DMs like, it's Sunday. Where are y'all at? Let me tell you, we are all adults here, and sometimes life be lifing, and we were dealing with life. But guess what?
Boom.
We could not let another week go by without hitting y'all up with our thoughts on Wonder Man, and it is going to be a wonderful show. We've got Thomas talking Cunningham,
Hello.
Mo Kelly.
I'm probably going to be the voice of dissent tonight, and I look forward to it.
Okay, all right, okay. Look,
Wah,
contrary
wah.
contrary to the overwhelming, and when I say overwhelming, I mean overwhelming praise for Wonder Man within the blurdosphere, within Black Twitter, within threads. Every single person who has watched this show, with the exception of two, Mo Kelly and Twitch master Ryan McBain, have absolutely loved Wonder Man. Unfortunately, Mo Kelly, who I will let say his piece in just a minute, Mo Kelly went into this show looking for a level of reality that within the Marvel Cinematic Universe is an illogical search for logic in a show based in a world where you've had a blip and you've had, I don't know, 11 different world-ending events. Their level of logic that they're applying to the show, simply illogical. For me personally, I absolutely love everything about this show, just on the face of it being a show about two people who are struggling to make a dream come true. Damn the superpowers. Damn the superpowers, put that in the back. This is a show that is successful for two reasons: the acting and the story. You have a show that's basically revolving around two people and some of the best dialogue you will see in the MCU. The actor performances put on by Yahya Abdul Mateen the second, phenomenal. Ben Kingsley, phenomenal. Those two alone, standing in a room by themselves, acting their asses off. I'm like, this shit is something. To Marvel's point, they said Wonder Man is a show unlike any other, and it absolutely is. For me, I saw the reincarnation of Laverne and Shirley. I saw The Odd Couple. I saw, Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy from 48 Hours. I saw one of the best duos on screen that I've seen in a long time, and it was such a treat to see that happen in the MCU in a show that literally no one knew anything about, and quite honestly, very few people know anything about Wonder Man. People going into it, they're like, I have no idea what the show is about, who this character is, whatever. This show delivered on all fronts for me. Finally, Twitch master McBain, who I knew he could not miss this opportunity to shat all over the place.
No,
I know. You're not a diehard hater, but both you and Mo had issues. One thing I did not hear from you, Dr. Liz, in the thread a lot about your thoughts on the show. Ladies first, what'd you think?
Actually, I think that I enjoy how all of the series are so uniquely different. They really are, like, all of the origin or whatever we've experienced since the blip on Disney Plus starting during the pandemic has been such a treat. Even those that are not my least favorite, I still had a great takeaway that I like that they're trying to do something new to all of them. So I take that for what it's worth. I enjoyed it. Was more annoyed with is the number of people who are talking about the lack of advertising. And I think I've gone back and forth with people so much online on Twitter or X or whatever in regards to saying, I'm sorry, you didn't get it in your algorithm. Because Wonder Man was all in my feed, and I actually thought it was interesting. Some of the things that you guys all hate is that the previews tell most of the story. This is one that the previews told me very little about what I was to expect. So I thought that itself was kind of interesting to experience too. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was gone for the ride, but I thought it was sad.
Very, yeah, yeah. And many times, and I was talking about this off mic before we joined in, on the Mo Kelly show, and later with Mo Kelly, we have had untold number of stars that you know by name. Like, just the list goes on and on and on, longer than everyone's arms in this podcast, of guests that we've had on who have shared their story. That's something that Mo Kelly is a master at, getting people to open up and share about themselves before getting into what they're on the show for. And something that I've heard him say time and time again about each and every person who shared this story, where you're like, man, I had no idea, is that most of us know the glory of all of our favorite celebrities, but we do not know their story. We do not know what they've gone through to get to that point. And I think Wonder Man, for any, especially anyone living in Hollywood or has any idea of what Hollywood is, if you watch American Idol, if you watch any of these shows that try to take you behind the scenes into what it takes to become, a star, this show, to me, it hit on all cylinders, because I was like, geez, man, this peels back a layer of Hollywood that I think everyone needs to see. The number of actors who are looking at this like, I'm feeling triggered because this is my life and this is what we go through, even as successful actors, not just the up and coming people who we know, who are out there like, dog, this was me the other day going in. They're acting like they don't even know my name. And this is what I think they did.
Can I say one more thing and then I'll shut up on this? Is that's very true, because even if you look at the Charlie Sheen documentary that came out on Netflix, first of all, I highly recommend it. Second of all, even with his name and notoriety, he didn't struggle as much as some of his friends like Sean Penn. But I'm going to say Black Hollywood, though, I think is even more disturbing, because the name, they have huge name notoriety, but they are broke. And I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you all remember, the woman on the Wayans Brothers show. She's been on a number of things, but she also,
Was that Takia? Takia
Christopher.
And she was supposed to have been the wife on My Wife and Kids, but she got X'd before at the table read. Like, it's all these different times where she has attempted. She was also in with Terrence Howard in about the music. It was the music thing, and he was a pimp.
You're talking about Hustle and Flow.
Hustle and Flow, yeah.
And that too. And it comes to find out she did a reality show with a bunch of other women, and she's living in a hotel. She's broke. Like, she, to this day, the woman is hand to foot. Or if you look at a hand to mouth, you look at the, on Half and Half, the girl Shanice and Flex, and they did their reality show. They also hand to mouth, to the point that he couldn't get a job, so he's working at a department store in the evening, so he won't be recognized overnight, so he can keep food on the table. So and he had a half and half. Like, I mean, but
he was a star, yeah.
He was Michael Jackson, but we're not going to talk about that. But I mean, just the concept that you're right. Like, there's a lot of these celebrities that we would absolutely recognize. Of course, we can always refer to the Cosby Show, home working at Trader Joe's. I mean, people are, they may be well known by us, but they need a paycheck.
Not well known at the bank. Not well known at the bank.
I think for me, the thing that I connected to, although I do know a lot of people in the business, and I know lots of actors. I mean, 2 actors in my chapter right now. And so, well, actually 3. So the thing that connected to me was the idea of dreams in general, and the family dynamic that was relatable to, I think, anybody who was watching. I don't know that there's so many. I mean, it was very insider baseball as far as Hollywood is concerned. I was one of the people who appreciated that when they said they were in Pacoima, I was like, yep, they're in Pacoima. and when they were on the lot, I was like, yep, they're in Hollywood. And that's one of the things I think from an LA person, I'm basically an LA native now, that it's nice to be able to see your city represented as your city actually is. One of my first takeaways when I saw the movie True Romance is that they had the Safari Inn, which is in Burbank, but they pulled out onto Hollywood Boulevard. And I didn't know that until I moved here. And I was like, well, that's not possible. But in this movie, you got a different view of that. And the thing I really, really appreciated about the show over the course of the 8 episodes, first of all, it's a tight 30 minutes, under 30 minutes per episode, which helps to move things along. It doesn't get bound up in a lot of trying to do too much. They were really just telling what you needed to do to move the story along. But his transformation from being an annoyingly self-conscious, overthinking, want to be actor to a person who by episode 8 not only has embraced his stardom, but now is so fully confident that he pulls off a scheme in the denouement, which really sets him up to be a superhero. And the idea that he was willing to basically abandon his brand new career, which, you know, shocker, the movie's a hit. And so the world is his oyster. He's ready to become Robert Downey Jr. basically, or Will Smith, let's say, since he's Black. He's ready to become Will Smith post Independence Day, when he just went on to do a string of 10 can't miss blockbuster summer mainstream whatevers. And he makes a choice instead to support his buddy. And the confidence that it took him to do that was a character arc that I really appreciated and I enjoyed about the movie. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II is amazing in the sense that I texted Tuala just 5 minutes into the show and I said, God, he is annoying as fuck. Tuala was pissed at me. But he is. If you anybody who knows an actor, even if you knew an actor who was like the president of the drama club in high school, who was so extra, like Rachel Berry in Glee, he was that. He was just so like, I gotta do my thing. And
with the Rachel Berry.
And I saw him as soon as he opened his mouth on set. I said, he finna be fired. And he was. And to contrast that with his doting mother, who is so lovely, and so she's a Haitian, and his dickish older brother, who is named Eric Simon, which is comic book accurate, although we will not see him as the Grim Reaper. I'm betting.
I hope not.
I hope not either.
Yeah,
and then flashbacks with his father and the way his father pronounced his name, Simon, and taking him to the movies. It was just really an enjoyable experience. I was happy to take the ride I wasn't a super fan of the Doorman episode, not because I didn't appreciate the mythology. I just wasn't taken in by that actor. And I know that he was not supposed to be good, which was kind of the point. And he got ahead of his skis, as it were, and ended up, taking a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Look, 5 minutes of fame the hard way.
And ding dong, motherfucker. So that was the one where I was like, and that's partially very personal to me. I don't like watching someone on screen fail. It is uncomfortable for me to watch somebody who, that's what it is. It's the ick. It's the cringe.
It was hard because there was a couple times I had like over my eyes like
minutes of ick right there. So
it was tough.
But other than that, I really did enjoy it, and I was pleasantly surprised that we saw a story that, if nothing else happens with this character, because he hasn't been announced for Doomsday. If nothing else happens, I saw a complete arc that of itself, as a self-contained thing, I can enjoy. It wasn't like She-Hulk, where She-Hulk basically started off in one place and pretty much ended in the same place as far as the character. He actually had some progression, and now, he's a hero. And Wonder Man can fly without a jetpack. So we found that out.
Good.
All right. Now, at the beginning of the show, Mo drew a line in the sand and said that he will be the one detracting voice. So before we get to Mo's detraction of this great series, McBain, what got caught up in your saddle?
Well, first of all, okay, I don't hate the show. I'm not here to shit on it. I thought it was fine. It was okay. I didn't hate it. I went in thinking that this was going to be a piece of shit. I thought it was going to be horrible. And after the first episode, I'm like, huh. All right, let me see a little more of this. Hold on. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know what? It's not that bad. Okay. I'll keep watching. I'll binge watch this. Everything that Simon was doing, like his little his aneurysms, or not aneurysms, mannerisms. Sorry, mannerisms. I was like, dude, I do that sometimes. Like, I was like, I could relate to Simon, his family. I could really relate to. I do a lot of stupid shit. Shocker, I know. And my mom's always there, and I'm always getting in arguments with my two older brothers. So his back and forth with his other brother really I was like, oh wow, that's. I've been there. So that hit home with me. The little things Simon did, like when they're at the director's house, and I know this is stupid, but I just laughed for some strange reason when he was shaking all the actors' hand, and one actor shook his hand so hard, and Simon's like, "God damn, I do that shit when someone shakes my hand too hard." I was like, "Yeah, okay." I can't stand Trevor, but he was palpable. I thought he was just going to be a jackass the whole time, but when he was serious, I was like, okay. He didn't overdo it. I think why I hate him so much is because in Shang-Chi, there was too much comedy.
I didn't like Trevor.
Okay, that's great. I thought he was okay in this. I don't think that we know for sure that Simon threw his career away at the end. And by the way, to Sam's point, to the point of what was going on at the end, I didn't know what the hell was happening.
Right.
I didn't know, why is he talking to this one dude? Why is Simon talking to this guy
right away?
I didn't see it.
What was going on?
Yeah, I got
second
wrong.
They're driving in the car to his job, and I saw the prison. I was like, oh shit, okay. My eyes lit up. I'm like, oh dude, that's great. I didn't see it coming. I did not see it coming. Also, we don't know.
Not see it coming.
I feel like. Oh, never mind.
To Tom's point, we don't know if Simon really threw his career away. We don't know if he got caught. We don't know. I mean, he tried to cover his tracks. I mean, it's easy for him to get caught, I guess, but we'll see. They haven't really explained that yet. I kind of like the idea that we don't know if he's a mutant. We don't know where he got his powers from. We have no idea. This is coming from someone who loves the show Daredevil, which is coming out next month, by the way. You're not going to get that here. You're not going to get a lot of action. I think a lot of hatred that people are giving the show is because they really don't know where the hell Marvel's going. And this show was not promoted, and Wonder Man's not really a well-known character, but it was an okay show. I appreciated his story, his struggle, what he had to do, the fear of him not knowing people are going to find out who he was. I thought it was funny that he didn't know that his girlfriend knew that he had superpowers. Right. That was funny.
I live with you.
Yeah, it's I thought it was okay. Now I'm kind of side with Mo on this. I hated the fact that people didn't really give a damn that Trevor was a fucking terrorist, and I don't know how he would get all these opportunities to star in a major motion picture. It just makes no sense to me. That was my only major beef with the whole show, and it wasn't a major beef for me because at the end of the show, I was like, okay, this is good. Some things don't make sense, but at the end of the day, my main grief was was Trevor getting all these opportunities, even though what he did in Iron Man 3? And also, I don't think Marvel's going to use this character ever again. Hell, they're finally going to use Shang-Chi and Doomsday. We don't even know what the hell's going on with Moon Knight. I
love Moon Knight.
I like Moon Knight too, but they haven't mentioned him at all. And so I doubt they're going to use Wonder Man because MCU.
See, I disagree with you. I think that the reason why Wonder Man is going to come back somewhere,
I hope you're right,
is because it doesn't make sense where you would have the agent show up in Miss Marvel. The agent would also show up in
Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like, and he's the through line for a couple of different properties. And then why, I mean, I know that because it's the show coming out, Daredevil, but it seems like it would be a really good fit because Daredevil allegedly is supposed to be coming in Spider-Man again. So if you have Daredevil connected to Spider-Man, then you have this other guy who's in Wonder Man. It just seems like it's a crossover. Not saying that Wonder Man's going to show up in Daredevil, but it seems like there's going to be a hop somewhere.
It would make sense, but the MCU does shit that does not make sense. So we don't know. I mean, I hope you're right, Liz.
Now, to that point, the director, the director, before we're getting to Mo, trust me, because I see the look on his face. The director, Daniel Dustin, how you pronounce the last name? Creighton? I don't know. Mo interviewed him long ago. He was in an interview and asked about Wonder Man's inclusion in the larger MCU, and his answers actually surprised me, but I liked his answer in that he said with what he is doing with Wonder Man, and he said there have been talks about a second season, but as a spotlight series, Wonder Man is trying to do something unto itself, and there were mentions of characters in the series. There were things that are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, we see Rogers, the musical, becoming a motion picture. The mention of Captain America, which a lot of people, when they heard him talking about Captain America and him just being a guy that can throw a shield, and even his cousin going on about Captain America, a lot of people assumed he was talking about Steve Rogers, but he was not. Because when his cousin was talking about Captain America, she's talking about Sam Wilson. Why? Because in that time that they're dealing with it, Sam Wilson is Captain America, which is what made his comment that he's just a guy that can throw a shield even funnier. Because first people are like, no, Cap he's a super soldier. But no, he's talking about Sam Wilson, who is just a guy who can throw a shield to a guy who can fly and do everything else he can do. He's like, are we serious, right? And a lot of people are like, I saw some comments. People were like, why this is to go for the white dude? I'm like, she's talking about Sam Wilson. So those type of mentions are to say that when, according to the director, he said that there will be appearances with Wonder Man, but they're going to have to be in the Wonder Man world. You cannot take a series like this and blow it up and turn it into some MCU CGI supervillain festival. It can't be that. You have to try to bring characters into this world and make the Marvel Cinematic Universe characters more grounded. And there's a lot of characters within the MCU that can't. So that's just what he said.
See, my issue with that is Wonder Man, like, I think has movie-like powers because he's so powerful. This like to show his full strength, we kind of, it costs a lot for a TV show. I would expect him to be in the movies or do some type of movie crossover. That's just
prayerfully
me.
So. Prayerfully so. Now, I am so curious to hear Mo Kelly's take on this because Mo was spitting straight flames in the text thread. He was going off on this series.
No. I was going off on a portion of it, some of which Ryan had touched upon, but I need to back up because there are a lot of things that have been discussed that I want to address, which are relevant to what I thought about Wonder Man. Tom, you don't know this, but I used to work with Takia Crystal Kima on our one-woman show about maybe 30 years ago. And if you don't know, she's a Delta from FAMU.
Oh, okay. First of all, you tried it. because I know her line sister.
I don't know
and
anything about
she
that
has
organization.
come to the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge in support of the Rattlers for 5 or 6 years. So I personally know Takia Crystal Kima and the line sisters. So stop it. Knock that all the way up.
Trying to say
Beta Alpha Delta Sigma Theta.
The reason I mentioned that is I can see her long-term struggle in the business. I know it. I've been part of it. And even though I know her, and Tom, you know her, and if people were to look up her photo on her IMDb page, they would say, oh yeah, I know her. She has always struggled. Now we can go back and forth about why it's because of this personality trait or that, but I think her story is emblematic of many actors, if not most actors in Hollywood, where you'll be able to point to moments of success, but not a career long enough to sustain themselves over the course of their life. So I say all that to say, I appreciated how Wonder Man, in different ways, pointed at the continuing, ongoing struggle and how people ultimately may never make it. You have someone like Trevor, air quotes, who had some degree of success in a career, and I'll come back to that, and still he was struggling later on in life. Yeah, he was a terrorist in between, but we won't let that get in the way because we all know being a terrorist is not a big deal when it comes to I'm going to get there. All I'm saying is
I'm gonna ask you a question. No, I want to ask you a question about this because you could probably speak to this too in regards to sabotaging a career. And I thought that was another caveat to his story as well, and how his career would have gone better, probably wouldn't have been a terrorist, pretend terrorist, if there wasn't the sabotage factor.
Well, I think it's Hollywood and historically accurate as far as how they portray the backbiting, the backstabbing, how there's always someone who's waiting to take your place and will push you off a bridge in order to get it. And I appreciated the authenticity, if you will, of Wonder Man in that regard. And I liked how it was, the episodes were only maybe 25 to 30 minutes. I'm not spending all night with it. It was very easy to binge, very easy. And some people have talked about how little it was advertised. I personally believe that Marvel/Disney did not want to have this negatively review bombed in advance in the way that Ironheart was, and wanted to give the series a better chance to be known for its content and no controversy leading into it. I have nothing to support that, but I could see a situation where they said, hey, let's soft pedal this right now and let people organically start to have positive things to say about it, as opposed to having a faux controversy of the supposed race swapping of Wonder Man, which it wasn't, but you have to see the series to understand that. I just think that Marvel was just very protective of Wonder Man in a way where they wanted to be able to give it a chance to succeed on its own. Now, let's look at it on the merits. Ben Kingsley is a jewel. I thought his performance was fantastic. In fact, they ought to call it Trevor Slattery Goes to Hollywood. That's basically, to me, what I looked at it as. And unfortunately, what rubbed me the wrong way, it felt like Mateen II at a certain point, and we all felt the whole buddy cop type of feel to it. It almost felt like kind of 48 Hours, and you had Nick Nolte as the star, and then you had Eddie Murphy, the up-and-comer, throwing some funny lines, but he's still second chair at that point to the established star. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way because there are a lot of the scenes, long scenes, have more to do with Trevor than it had to do with Simon Williams.
That's fair. That's fair.
That put me was off-putting for me. Now, the Trevor controversy, I was saying in the chat that there's no way this real or faux terrorist who was involved in this plot in which a cabinet member of the president was killed, the vice president spearheaded the conspiracy, and the president was kidnapped by the vice president. that guy, Trevor, who was impersonating the Mandarin or not, but he's the face of this terrorist 10 Rings organization. There's no way that he gets a second chance in Hollywood ever under any circumstances. He would be toxic. And I made the point, look, OJ was found not guilty and nobody would touch him in Hollywood. What do you think would be in this authentic Hollywood world that we agree that they created? How then authentic would it be if you had Trevor Slattery, who was the worst of the worst as far as the face of the 10 Rings terrorist organization? Most people didn't know about Hydra as far as random people, but everybody knew about the 10 Rings because of this terrorism ring. That guy never gets another job in Hollywood. And not only that, casting directors, random people say, hey, that's the Mandarin. They would recognize him. And that was a running joke in the series where you had random people who would recognize him. There's no way he gets a part in a major motion picture. No way. Because Devon Kovac, director dude, is placed on a level of like a Stanley Kubrick or, you know, one of these auteur directors. And
didn't Stanley Kubrick drink rotten milk and drink his own piss? Look, I don't know. I can't remember. There's something weird having to do with him.
Okay,
right.
So
but go ahead. But
I will.
didn't hate it.
I will say a couple of things because a couple of things have been said that I wanted to weigh in on. One of which is why Wonder Man, blah, blah, blah. From a comic book history standpoint, Wonder Man has a long, very tightly integrated history with the Avengers. And the Avengers is the marquee franchise of the entire MCU. So they've skipped over some of that because obviously when Wonder Man was originally introduced into the comic books, he was introduced as a villain. He had gotten this treatment that gave him ionic powers, and eventually those ionic powers kind of completely transformed him. At one point, he was just a being of purple bubbles of energy, and the Vision's personality was patterned after Simon's brain waves, and so there was controversy between Simon loving the Scarlet Witch and Vision loving the Scarlet Witch, and then he was turned into a full-on hero. And then he was turned into a full-on hero who was a movie star because he could do his own stunts because he couldn't be injured at all. And then he was in the West Coast Avengers and blah, 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 blah. So the point is that this is a character with as rich a history and a longer history than a lot of characters who are currently portrayed in the MCU. Even if he was never a top tier character, didn't, anchor his own book. But let's remember, by the time Iron Man came out in 2008, Iron Man was considered B or C list. He was not a marquee character either. So to me, my argument is that if you're looking for somebody to bring into the Avengers and you want that person to have powers, because on the planet right now, Thor is gone. We don't know what's going on with Hulk. Maybe Hulk is back on Scar with his kid. And we know that Black Widow is dead. All of the Thunderbolts are basically super soldiers. You don't, except for Sentry and Sentry's sideline. You don't have anybody who's above a super soldier right now on Earth, except for Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange isn't like that guy who leads people into battle. So
and remember, he left. He left.
Well, I don't know if he's here.
He's got the interdimensional stuff going on with Clea and all that. So really, Wonder Man is a good person who kind of straddles street level because he's kind of a guy, but then he also has really impressive powers. He literally blew up an entire Hollywood soundstage, broke out of a Supermax prison, and can fly. And he also scrambles electronics. So I agree, Ryan, there's a possibility that maybe his career isn't destroyed, although you have to believe that the FBI agent who was at the damn Supermax
Spider-Man
knows that the person who broke him out was Wonder Man.
I'm pretty sure he knows. Yeah.
But to your point about how Trevor got this gig, I would say there's two things. One, he hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities. He hadn't had any opportunities up until this. And he was broken out of prison by the 10 Rings. He lived in an alternate dimension with that butt angel thing forever, for who knows how long. And all in between that time, the blip happened and people came back, and there have been all of these other world-changing events. We don't live in that world. We don't live in a world where Osama bin Laden might be trying to be an actor. But the difference is that Osama bin Laden actually did it. And you said it yourself, Mo. The vice president was involved in the conspiracy, and that was headline news. The person who was impersonating a terrorist got immediately swept to the side because the friggin' vice president tried to kill the president. That was the scandal. And so that guy, we don't see that guy.
Tom, I got to jump in there.
Okay.
Who's the mastermind of 9/11?
Osama bin Laden.
No, someone else. I can't remember his name, and they've captured him.
Okay, but I will say this. There are other
but my point is, the face was Osama bin Laden. That's what everyone associates with it. That's all I'm saying. Please continue.
Well, ISIS and Al Qaeda, that was a little bit decentralized. He was definitely a big important person, and he was the person who was face front taking credit for it. But here's the difference. Trevor Slattery with the long, greasy looking hair was not on camera doing that. When he transforms back into the Mandarin and uses the Mandarin voice and pulls the Mandarin man bun and puts on the Mandarin robe, he wasn't cast as the Mandarin. He was cast as Trevor Slattery. And yes, Joey Pantoliano knows. When he was sitting at the dinner with the other agents, the agents were aware of the Mandarin thing. Whether or not everybody on the street would recognize him as the guy who was the Mandarin, I think is an open question, because quite frankly, 12, 13 years ago, this was not a 9/11 scale event. This was not an Oklahoma City bombing scale event. There were 3 bombs.
Air Force One went down.
I don't know about that. Oklahoma City to me is more of a lower grade event. Not saying that, not to minimize terrorists.
How many people were killed in the Oklahoma City bombing?
It's not about the number of people.
No, hold on. I bet you more people know the name of the Oklahoma City bomber than the Unabomber.
I'd agree with that.
It was major.
But
it was
a major event, but
168 people died.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying that there's
of that died.
They would not recognize him as much as they'd recognize Osama bin Laden for sure.
But still,
Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden killed 3,000 people in New York.
Tom, you're being dishonest. If you kill the Secretary of Defense,
what?
I said you're being dishonest. If you
I heard you. What am I being dishonest about?
I'm telling you, if you kill the Secretary of Defense on national TV, and I have to include worldwide social media because we had that then, you are going to have a level of infamy and notoriety which is unparalleled.
But even the current Secretary of Defense?
No, but here's the thing. Tom, damn it. Tom. Okay. But Mo, you've got to remember that was not real. Trevor even said as much when he was talking to the agent of damage control, and it was revealed that was not real. He did not actually kill him. That was for television. And again, with 9/11, with the Oklahoma City bombing, with all those things that have happened, okay, now with 9/11, it is not as revered a moment as it was even 5 years ago. And we also do not live in a world that has had world-ending events all the damn time. We're living in a world where something like, if we were to have the Chitauri hit down in New York, we would still be talking about that right now, every damn day. If we were to have boys open up in New York,
island-sized alien in the Indian Ocean that emerged out of nowhere,
we would be on that right now.
There's shit going on that planet
with something like the Mandarin. When you go and watch the 10 Rings again, and you see how there was the whole documentary that they were filming and showing the people how it was revealed. Yo, you're just a pawn. You're a drug addict. And he even said, "Look, I was high the whole time. I don't know anything about it." Trevor Slattery was not jailed for being a terrorist. He was jailed for playing the role of the Mandarin that was the front for something entirely heinous that the vice president
The
and
law doesn't work like that.
no. It was literally revealed that the people that were in charge of it were the ones who one died.
But
and
memory
one
doesn't work like that either. People would still remember them and
No,
care.
and some
Not
I'm gonna
people-
give you.
Trevor
You know what? I'm
Slattery.
gonna give
How
you
are you
half. I'm
saying-
gonna give you half of this.
Same person.
Now, I'm half
No,
of this
he's
is.
not.
I'm gonna
He
tell
doesn't
you
look
that
anything
there's
the same.
as a lot of people. I think this is an age issue because as a person who teaches people under 30 quite a bit on a daily basis, well, not a daily. I don't work every day. There is the notion that people will remember some of these people's names or even their face. If I put up if I put up the Oklahoma City, they barely remember Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, but
So there's no pathway that they would
only
remember that.
13 years ago. In the timeline that they
This
set up
one.
explicit, 13 years, because that's how long Trevor's been sober.
Oh yeah, but Mo, I'm gonna give Tom this one. The blip, and then the Falcon and the Winter Soldier taking the UN. Like they had a whole coup that they were throwing to overthrow because they had the replacement thing that was going on around the world. Y'all looking at me strange? They had the whole.
Your
They were
internet's going out.
bombing and shooting.
There's lots that's going
Oh.
on. Here's the other thing that I think we're not taking into consideration. This universe, that world, the MCU, is about 5 years ahead of our world right now. Right? It's not 2026 in the MCU. They're ahead of us in the MCU. Right now, there are 6 AI trailers of the Doomsday Leak that are set up to look with an off-camera angle and audience people screaming that is completely AI generated. And if you think that people aren't jaded by things they see on the internet these days because of AI and because of trickery and because of conspiracy theories and everything else, I think you're missing the plot in our world. There are people who see things and they're like, that ain't real.
Look, but
because
Trevor Slattery is not a neutral entity in a major motion picture. The fact that the New York Times was saying, like, how the hell are you even here, Trevor? Did you break out of prison? I'm saying he is a known entity. And it was too much for me to believe or swallow that this guy would have a major role in a major motion picture with a vaunted, venerable director, and nobody say shit.
Okay, but you are also forgetting that we did not see the machinations behind the scene of Damage Control, because when Trevor finally came back to the States out of existence forever and a day, when he got off that plane, he was promptly arrested and they brought him in. He was arrested by Damage Control to do one thing. What was that? To get this guy, Simon Williams, on tape, revealing himself to sniff him out. That was all. And they went after Trevor. Why? Because Trevor, they felt, was an actor who could get in there. To them, they said, let's get this guy, Trevor, and have him go after Simon. And he said, Trevor said, we would need something big to go on and fool this guy. You can't just have some fake auditions. It's got to be something real. It's got to be something that they would bite after. We don't know the lengths that Damage Control went through to protect Trevor, to allow him to get in there and get that role. They set everything else up. Why would you also did not follow that same trail and say, you know what? Yeah, Damage Control set up the whole thing with him being.
Then they need to put a scene in where they're talking to the director and saying, "Yo, you're going to put Trevor in this movie."
I mean,
No,
they could.
I ain't buying that shit. I ain't buying that.
Hold on. Let me just say this. You're not convincing Stanley Kubrick to cast this guy just because the government says you want him cast. What we're discounting is that Trevor Slattery was actually a good actor. The drugs is what jacked him up. He lost his role on that British medical drama because of drugs, but he wasn't a bad actor. And what I think Damage Control did was they said he was a patsy. He wasn't the Mandarin. It was a role. He was suckered into it. He's not under arrest. He's been released. It's a clean slate. He's eligible to work. I think that's what they did. And then because he had the chemistry with Simon and Simon was also so good, the pair of them got cast. Not because the government said you got to cast him. The government just said he's okay to work. He can work. We recognize, but you got to believe it. Look, you saw it too. It was the vice president. You saw it too. It was Aldrich Killian. You saw it too. It was all these people. It was never actually the Mandarin. It was always these exploding people with extremists. He was a patsy because another entity wanted to use him and he was used. He's now been exonerated.
I agree with all that, but the exception is that works for explaining his existence in the free world per se. That doesn't mean that agents and producers and Hollywood, look, if they're not going to give Kevin Spacey a legitimate opportunity on a huge movie, I think Hollywood have closed ranks around Trevor because his name would have been toxic. Or it goes in the other direction where they would use that to promote the movie. The whole point of his background.
So stunt casting.
I'm sorry?
Stunt casting.
Yeah, it has to go one way.
That doesn't happen in Hollywood ever. I mean, I'm just saying. We had a discussion in the chat where I said RDJ went into a woman's house naked and drunk as hell, and 2 years later was an Oscar nominee for Chaplin, and then after that got the role of a lifetime, which turned him into the highest paid actor in the world.
Look, Tom,
he wasn't a terrorist, but neither was Trevor Slattery.
Okay,
Trevor Slattery was not a terrorist.
A lot of people have gotten drunk. Hell, I get drunk all the time. Hell, I don't do shit like RDJ, but a lot of people can relate to doing stupid shit while they get drunk. A lot of people can't
living less than zero.
Doesn't matter. A lot of people can relate to that. There are not a lot of people that can relate to being a fucking terrorist.
Except he wasn't a terrorist. He was a He was
the faceplate of it.
He wasn't a terrorist any more than Charlton Heston was Moses.
So if you're saying that the government at large that had him jailed, saying that he was not a terrorist, if that's not enough for you to say he wasn't a terrorist, well, then yes, then that's the end of that argument. Because what you're saying is, I don't care if the government allowed him to be free and walk around and work again. The actual government that should have him locked up in prison, but he is able to go out on auditions. And if the actual government, the actual people that should have him locked up said he was not, what you're saying is that's not good enough for me. I don't believe it. Okay, end of story. Then there is nothing else to say about that. Because that right there, you're drawing an indelible line in the sand that says, I can't get past that point.
No, I don't think that guy gets the job on a major motion picture. Could he exist in normal society?
Well, but guess what they did? Guess what they did? They did it in the series. And again, if that is your line, which you can't get past, then there's nothing else to say because it happened. We're not talking about something that's real. We're talking about a series, and it happened. And if that's the line, then that's the line. I get it.
Let me ask you a
you've made your point clear.
You like that Superman bullshit in DC?
I did. And you know, and here's the thing.
I like Superman.
You know, I'm not going to say that.
I like Superman.
I have a question for Mo that he is uniquely prepared to answer. You said that this is really the Trevor Slattery story. As you watched Trevor as an actor, did you not find him to be a very knowledgeable actor and a very gifted actor?
Both, absolutely. I bought him as an actor.
Exactly. And so that's my point. Stanley Kubrick, who only made, God rest in peace, he wasn't the Transformer guy, Michael Bay. He was not him. He was not Michael Caine, who would show up and be in any movie. Stanley Kubrick made one movie a decade, and most of them are considered classics. Maybe not Eyes Wide Shut, but certainly 2001 and The Shining. The 2001 and The Shining are going to live in the cinematic pantheon forever.
Clockwork Orange.
Okay? Clockwork Orange too. So, but that's 10 years apiece, probably. So this is a guy who, like Kubrick, I think, He said, these are the two. He saw that Simon was better with Trevor as Barnaby. And Trevor as Barnaby was arguably the best person who acted in that space at his villa. And when Simon was with the other guy, he didn't buy it. But when he was with Trevor, he pulled him out and said, it's you. I didn't want to say it in front of everybody else. I can't imagine anybody else playing this role now and you are my Barnaby. It was their chemistry. Trevor's super talented. Trevor has been given a green light by the federal government. He's not in custody, which means he was released. There hasn't been a news article. There wasn't any news report about him being apprehended at LAX or anything like that. So it must be cool. You must be okay if you weren't explicitly told that he was okay. And Damage Control, I have to believe, contacted the agency, because we don't even have an indication that he was repped by anybody, to be honest. But I think the federal government, I think Pam Bondi could put his name on a call sheet, could get him an audition, and as long as the agents were willing to play ball, because they sat there and they tentatively said, you've been cast in this, and we don't know why you're here because Simon is the star. And when he says, I think you should do a play, they don't like it, but they nut up by the end of the dinner and they're like, you know what, let's work with it. He really likes this guy. And so they're a package deal at this point. Even if he could get calved off eventually, he's a package deal. And by the way, Joey Pants was nowhere near as good a Barnaby as Trevor would have been.
But I think that was intentional.
No, it was. It was a callback to the fact that he stabbed him in the back from the British TV show decades before. But the point is that Joey Pants is a good actor. I'm not saying he's not. But in the show, he couldn't be. He had to be a bit of a hack. And so despite that, Simon Williams' portrayal was enough to make the movie a hit. And Simon even says, you would have been a better Barnaby when he's talking to Trevor, when he frees Trevor. So
because that Barnaby scene was crazy in the end. There's actually, when you think about it, there is actual further proof that Damage Control at least had something to do with the audition when Simon is recounting to the agent about the path that they went. He said, was he at the movie theater? Yes. Okay. And then the audition, did that happen as well? Yes. So Damage Control did have some play as far as putting him in the audition, maybe not getting him cast, but they did set that up because they discussed that part of their plan, which leads that they had a hand behind the scenes to everything that Trevor was doing because they were monitoring everything he was doing.
And Simon's casting was not an essential part of the plan.
Yeah.
It was just supposed to be giving Trevor access to Simon to learn about him.
Yeah.
The casting was on them. And who knows what they would have, and Trevor realized that, which is why he made the sacrifice that he did. It wasn't
Ryan. The allegations, not actual going to prison for it, but the allegations surrounding Nate Parker and rape. Did he ever work again?
I don't.
You're talking. Now,
he's
Mo.
He's not on the rise.
Let's also not pretend that there
he's also
been
black.
allegations against actors who are not black. Serious allegations that have even been confirmed, unlike Nate Parker, that are working now.
Charlie
now.
G.
No. Right now, because again, if we're talking about allegations,
Jared
Leto is about to star as Skeletor in the brand new He-Man film. His allegations were a lot more egregious than Nate Parker. So let's not pretend that if you're not black, Ezra Miller, but what are you
about to be in another?
You misunderstand my point. I'm not saying if you do something bad, that means you're not going to work. I'm saying that if you're perceived as a toxic individual,
I hear you.
And I think terrorism is up there.
And guess what? Ezra Miller, I believe there was domestic violence. He showed up with a
Yes.
gun. He was wearing bulletproof. He was, and guess what? They
Kidnapping.
still said, you know what? You're still going to be the Flash.
The
And you know what
Flash.
everyone said? How is he the Flash? And someone like Jonathan Majors can't even get to a meeting with Marvel again to
A lot of
say,
people-
hey, man,
a lot of
I was
people-
just a
He's
kid.
in another movie.
A lot of people
Huge
did not watch
movie.
The Flash because of Ezra Miller.
That's right.
So I would
No, I
imagine
know,
that
I got
if
you.
I got you.
someone like
I'm
Trevor
not-
Slattery, a lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm not watching this shit."
And a lot of
No.
people wouldn't. A lot of people wouldn't watch it if Trevor Slattery was in it. But guess what? In the end, Trevor Slattery wasn't in it. So a lot of people went to go watch it. In the end, if Trevor
Yes.
Slattery was in it, then we may have seen a different reaction to the film when it released. But he wasn't in it. He was cast, and he did have a shot. And then he lost that shot.
And let's remember how the business goes. When you're shooting, you're not doing a lot of publicity for the film. He was basically X'd from the film after a week. So it wasn't even, you didn't even have behind the scenes people taking pictures of
Johnny
Tom
Depp.
Holland in a Spider-Man outfit yet. This was very, very beginning, a lot of pre-production stuff, and then all of the sets were blown up. And so it wasn't like he was a big part of the thing. It was like, probably the article is Hollywood has found its Wonder Man. A lot of stuff about the director, because this is an unknown actor who's being cast. So the New York Times article.
That's not true. The woman from the New York Times was doing that profile.
But that's what I was just saying. The New York Times woman was doing the profile, and she was doing the profile on the both of them. But before we don't even know if that article was published before he outed himself as the person who blew up the set. Because remember, it was the day after she accused him of being of how did he get out of jail?
Yes.
He walked into that set and blew it up that day, and the next day, Trevor said it was me. So what that article ended up being like, from what she had a sniff on it, because she's known for doing deep background.
Mm-hmm.
But before the article even came out, he was back in jail. So now the article has changed. Now it's, oh, Simon, your brother says such lovely things about you. And there are no friends for me to talk to. So it's just the ex-girlfriend who said some nice stuff. Your mama loves you. Your brother thinks you're a saint. And now you're a star. That had to be what the article was. There wasn't anything left to go because now Trevor is off.
Shia LaBeouf.
Slattery. I was the last person to interview him on the set.
Possibly, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Possibly.
But now Trevor's not in the
that
movie, so there is no impact from the movie.
And the interview to that point, to the point of what you're saying, Mo, is the article would have changed to say, hey, I talked to this actor, and when I begin to grill him about how he was able to come back to America and be arrested, because she said, I just have some people who sent me some footage. This isn't really known, because guess what? Simon didn't even know. Simon sitting right next to him had no idea that he was arrested. How did that happen? Because it was not publicized. Why wouldn't that be publicized? Why wouldn't the Mandarin coming back to America and being arrested be publicized? Who could have controlled that? Who could have controlled that narrative? Interesting. So if he came back and no one had that, except for the few people who this snoop of a reporter who was getting her scoop found this information out. Yeah, all she would have said is the actor that I tried to interview, he went off in the interview. The very next day he says, "Ha ha, I am the Mandarin. I'm back. You never saw it coming."
Let me just say this is my closing thought. Maybe sometimes I know too much. One point I made in our chat was there's no way that he's going to get arrested at LAX. And I mean specifically LAX, all those people around, no one pulls out a phone. It doesn't show up on someone's TikTok or anything. And not only that, as my older sister who just retired from 34 years at LAX, I know for a fact that shit, as soon as they find out it's Trevor Slattery, the Mandarin, it's sold to TMZ for like $50,000 or something. There's no way that arrest happens in a vacuum and no one knows.
But Mo, I'm going to counter that, because you have also said many times on air the number of things that my sister tells me about that you will never know that happens at LAX would blow your minds. Why, Mo? Why did we know about that? Because they keep it quiet. If the government
they didn't
comes
arrest
in
him in the back room.
But I got you. They arrested him in the front, and it's at the airport. If the
So you're
world
saying
did
you're
not
saying
see
they
that, if it
scrubbed
wasn't
it.
on TMZ, what is the only explanation for that besides the government coming in and saying, "Oh, that's not going out"? I get you
can't
that some
scrub
people
everything.
recorded it. I get you that some people recorded, and maybe some folks put it on social media. We don't know. We don't know. But all I'm saying is, yeah, the damage control has obviously done damage control.
Fair
And
enough.
let's take into consideration that until he's tackled on the floor, there's no reason for you to be recording. That one woman was maybe trying to record her friend who she was expecting to come, but it's not like there were 20 minutes of him just being on the floor and then looking into cameras. I'm Trevor Slattery. Please don't do this to me. They got him on the floor. His face was down, and then they yanked his ass up and put him into a back room. And there are more people that are held up by customs or whatever in LAX. We don't even pay attention to it because the lines at immigration are long as hell. And so if somebody gets pulled off to the side, I'm not saying that it's not going to draw attention. I'm just saying if nobody was waiting for it, you gotta, oh, what just happened? Oh, let me film this, or let me turn my back and get away from this motherfucker because I don't know what is going on.
As the lady next to him said, "Oh, I'm not with him.
I'm not with
Let
him.
me get the fuck out of here. I'm not trying to get caught up by whatever.
We're not together.
Here.
Bye." Yeah. So, but anyway, we're
all right.
This
so
is
look,
right at an hour. We thought,
right? Yes, I'm good.
Right. So look,
it was a good show. It was all right.
Yeah. And I love it. I love it. We've got, I believe, the new Darth Maul series coming at us hot and fast. We've got what is it? They Will Kill You.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we got that coming up real quick. I believe this month. So yeah, They Will Kill You is gonna be crazy. So we will be back hopefully this Saturday or Sunday with some more shit to blow your mind. We always thank you all for tuning in. We got Rob Cat 67 online checking us out, Movie Guy 19, Daryl Sexton, who else? Yeah, because we did not really let it be known that we would be up, but make sure you check it out. And we will see you when we return. Till then, Dr. Liz, take us out, sister girl.
Good night, everyone.
Ryan Twitchmaster McBain.
You will see my villain arc if Luke Cage is not in Daredevil season 2.
Shit. Mo Kelly.
Superman was trash.
It was.
Fuck off.
Look, HBO Max. I refuse to even watch it for free.
Look, that you're.
It's the dog.
You are free to your.
It's opinions. The super dog.
Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one.
Calm down, Michael Vick.
World.
Tom.
Wait, it's not Trevor Suit.
Excelsior.